Here's an easy way that you can start to play with your papier mâché pulp. You can make a tree and explore all of the textures. Here, I'm drawing a simple outline. Let's see what's ahead. Welcome. My name is Rosani, and I'm doing a study on texture. And what better way to show texture than to do a tree? I'll be working with my papier mâché pulp, and I made it using paper pulp from recycled papers and liquid starch from cornstarch. Now, we're going to begin by filling in the space. Now, it doesn't have to be perfect, but this gives you an idea of what will be taking shape. So, here's the papier mâché, and you see it's very rough, and that's exactly what I want. I'll begin adding it in between the lines. Now, it's okay that I'm going to be covering it up, but eventually, not only will it have the branches covered and the trunk and the roots, but I will also be adding a face. That's the goal. Now, right now, it's thick and lumpy, and that's exactly how it's supposed to be. But I've kept the liquid starch on the side, and that will come in most handy throughout the process. So, let's see which steps we'll take from here. I'll be using my trusty wooden skewer and my fingers, my two most convenient tools. So you see, I'm beginning to shape it out a little bit, and then I'm adding the liquid starch over it to smooth it out a little bit. And I want to keep it dampened, and I'm going to build upon it. I have begun a face. Can you see it materializing? It's easy to do. I just use my fingers to press it in. And here I'm going to be thinning out some of these branches. If you can do this without having to use the paper, it would work best because it will shrink, and you're going to have to remove the paper when this is dry. So there will be a few steps more to go. But it helps to use the paper, and you can always go back once it's dry, and cut out around the edges, and then gently you can peel the rest off from the back. It's fairly easy to do. Let's keep going. Just a reminder that the liquid starch papier mâché mix was made from cornstarch. When the pulp is this rough, it's important to keep on dampening it wherever possible. Now, it's still soft enough, and it's a little damp, and I am able to press the paper pulp together. But as you see, I still need to add more liquid starch. The more, the better. The easier it is, to work along with each stroke. And you'll be able to feel the difference. So it takes practice. It all depends on how thick you make your pulp and the type of paper you used to make the pulp. Because if it was made, say, with toilet tissue paper, it will be much softer, or even with paper napkins. But in this case, this is much coarser. And that's fine. This is exactly what I wanted. But, it's going to be totally up to you to experiment with it. And then you'll know what works best. And that is why this is a study for me. It's a learning experience. And this is how I find out about different types of paper and how they interact with the liquid starch. But either way, I'm able to accomplish what I set out to do, and that is to create this tree guardian of the enchanted forest. And of course, it could be whatever you want. But that's what I had in mind. And he's coming along. Let's keep going. I encourage you to experiment with the paper pulp, the liquid starch, and textures. Also, if you haven't made faces before, you can practice. If you don't like one face, you can start over with another face. It doesn't matter. This is an experiment. You can make more than one. It is a learning process, and gradually it will come more naturally to you. Let's keep going. Meanwhile, the goal is to create height and depth. And by that I mean high areas and low areas, so that there will be shadows and there will be raised texture. So you need to continue to add on in different sections, as you'll see here. Let's keep going. Make sure and use your wooden skewer or a similar instrument to help create lines and to access small spaces. Now here you see I'm adding some height with different little clusters of the papier mâché. And this will help me to emphasize the facial features. Can you see the difference it's making? And then I go back in with the wooden skewer to create some lines and some deeper spaces, some indentations that will create shadows. And that will provide some contrast. Let's keep going. So you see there, I've got the raised cheeks, and I have the open mouth. I have indentations for the eyes, but I have a bulky forehead. And I still need to thin out these branches. So let's keep moving right along. And there I've added more liquid starch. And make sure you have enough on hand. There you go. I let it soak in, and it also will help to smooth the surface. So it'll still be textured, but it'll be much smoother and easier to work with once it is dampened. It's very clay-like. As long as it sticks together. And that is why you do need to keep dampening it with the liquid starch, because the moisture will evaporate from the paper in this heat. It's very hot now. So if you had more moisture in the room, it would stay damp longer. But even though I am running the air conditioning, it still dries out. So I like to keep it dampened. Let's keep going. Now feel free to pause this anytime. You can come back to it at your leisure, especially if you're sculpting along. You may want it to dry in between applications. Now I'm working all the way through the majority of this project before letting it dry. And when I do dry it, it's going to be in front of a fan. But you can place it in front of a window where there's direct sunlight. Mostly, it's going to need dry, hot air or just dry heat. But do not place it in the microwave, please. And I would not advise putting it in the oven, because I would not want the paper to catch on fire. But you see how he's shaping up? And I've worked here on elevating the ridges. So we have these raised areas. Now you can begin to see the difference it makes once you have these raised areas. Now I continue to add on to the facial features. This type of practicing is really good. It helps to hone your skills by experimenting and exploring the possibilities, as I like to say. Different papers will have textures of all sorts. Sometimes it's fine to just use pulp made from newspapers. Other times, it's good to use pulp from paper, flyers, and junk mail. So it all depends. Some papers are thicker than others. Some of them are more natural than others. So some are hard to break down and cannot be used at all. So that's why it's important to do studies like this and to understand the different types of paper that can be used for each particular project piece. Let's keep going. Feel free to ask me any questions at this time, or pause, of course, to take a break. Let me know in the comments if this is something you would want to do. And if this is a style of learning that you're comfortable with, I do have options for more workshop video tutorials similar to this. These types of instructional demonstrations are lengthy and can go over 15 minutes, sometimes into 45 minutes or even longer, in which case I would normally divide them up into segments. That is why I've decided to offer this type of content through Patreon. You'll be able to find the link in the description, where there will be more options for you. And by options, I mean that you can continue to learn and go beyond the basics. Whereas other papier mâché artists are teaching using different techniques, mine are unique to liquid starch and different types of paper. I will be offering different segments that include behind the scenes content, and this will be exclusive to the subscribed memberships. And it allows me to continue teaching those who want to learn, who cannot afford to take expensive courses. I try to keep everything affordable, and you have choices that work within your budget. There'll be more information on this as I continue to add to my Patreon page to meet the needs of my viewers and my subscribers. Meanwhile, I offer this video to you in hopes that you will explore the possibilities, that you will practice these techniques and hone your papier mâché skills. And please continue to visit my channel playlist for related free videos. It's time to set this aside to dry.